your teams.
Oh, it is Barner. It is Barner, and he's gone.
The Beavers are the national champions.
Brandon, a three-pointer out front. Hit it! Yes, he did!
His take.
Here's what I think.
Matt Bagley. Matt Bagley.
At least in my experience with bad hair, I think it can teach us about why Justin Herbert did what he did. As a kid, you go to the barber when your dad says, son, you need to go to the barber. My hair would get buzzed every couple of months. Finally in college, on the advice of one of my cousins, just start over, point blank, and put some good product in it, and then grow your hair however you want. And I thought, wow, that's a really good idea. I'm 18, I got my whole life in front of me. Why not just see? And so winter break, my freshman year of college, I shaved my head bald.
Talking local sports.
The worst haircut I ever had came from an inspiration for change. I feel like Justin Herbert is pulling out of that same bag here.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
If we're going to talk about the future of Oregon football, the future head coach that Rob Mullins hires to take over for Mario Cristobal, the future of their Pac-12 title hopes and of the rest of the Pac-12's hopes, what USC wants to do, what Oregon State wants to do, what Washington wants to do to pass the Ducks. First, I think we need to go back in time. We need to talk about the past before we talk about the future. November 19th, 1994. I'm a toddler. You might have been an adult. You might have been around. You might have watched this. It was a famous event in the history of college football. It was the 100th edition of the Civil War, Oregon and Oregon State. And I can still call it that because that's what it was back then. The 100th Civil War, November 19th, 1994. Oregon wins that game 17-13, and their coach, Rich Brooks, earns the school's first ever outright conference championship. It was also their first ever Rose Bowl berth in decades, 1957. The play-by-play voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen, said about that win, quote, "We hadn't been to the Rose Bowl since Noah got off the ark." He wasn't kidding. By February of 95, that accomplishment paled in comparison to what happened next. Rich Brooks left Oregon for the NFL. Rams came calling. He was listening. Bye-bye. And the sky was falling, and everybody was looking around wondering what's going to happen to Oregon. They had this meteoric rise, the pick, and that 100 Civil War, and those incredible wins. They get the Pac-12 title, or Pac-10 title. They get the Rose Bowl berth. And all of a sudden, the sky is falling. But then, guess what happened? Mike Bellotti took over and won. Rinse, repeat. Mike Bellotti retires a decade later, hands over the keys to an offensive coordinator nobody knew named Chip Kelly, and Chip takes him to a national title game. Then again, rinse, repeat. Same thing happens. He leaves for the NFL. His successor takes the Ducks to another national championship game. Here's my point. If you consider the past of the Oregon Ducks, their future's fine. Mario Cristobal is a great coach. His loss will hurt the Ducks. I have no doubt about that. No doubt. And his loss will have a lot of fans questioning Oregon's future. I have no doubt about that, too. I'm already reading it all over social media. But I also have no doubt Oregon will recover. They've always recovered. They've always found a way when they lose a coach, they get another coach, and they go right back to winning. They've always done it. I want to hear from you. Are you concerned about the future of Oregon football? Mario Cristobal said sayonara. He's in Miami. He's working for the Hurricanes now. He's not working for Oregon. He's not out recruiting a top 10 class or coaching and developing one of the most ferocious defenses in the Pac-12 conference. He's gone. He's going to go build that in Coral Gables, Florida. What does that mean for Oregon? What does that mean for their future? I think the Ducks are going to be fine. Now, first and foremost, Rob Mullins, the athletic director, has to nail this next hire. And what do I mean by that? There is a checklist. You want to check every box off. You want a coach that can go out and recruit. Does he have to do it at that same caliber? I don't think so. I don't think he needs to be Mario Cristobal. I don't think he needs to grind his assistants to dust every year, burning Jim Leavitt out of the program, burning Marcus Arroyo out of the program. Andy Avalos bolted quick for Boise State. Tim DeRuyter, you watch. I think he's going to look for his way out the door. We know what happened to Joe Moorhead. My point, Mario Cristobal was not an easy guy to work for. I don't think you need to recruit at that level. I think you burn a lot of people out doing that. But Oregon needs a good recruiter. Oregon needs a good manager, right? You see the transfers out of that program over the past couple seasons. Good players like Isaac Slade Matuatia or Micah Pittman that say, I don't want to be here anymore. I think Oregon needs a good locker room manager, somebody that can rally this team, somebody that can listen to players and work with players and work for players, and foster an environment where they want to be at Oregon and they want to bring their best to Oregon, not fall flat on their faces in the Pac-12 title game. And then that brings me to the third thing the Ducks need. They need a proven strategist. I'm not saying Chip Kelly. I'm not saying you need a genius play caller that can draw up the perfect scheme. That was Chip Kelly a decade ago. I don't know if that is Chip Kelly right now. But you need someone that manages his timeouts, someone that understands down and distance, understands what his offensive coordinator wants to do, what his defensive coordinator wants to do, works in harmony with that, and somebody that gets the most out of his players. You have to ask yourself, why did Justin Herbert have a better NFL career than a college one? He makes every single throw, every play, every Sunday. Missed a lot of throws on Saturdays. You have to ask yourself, why Anthony Brown, a sixth-year senior, a guy that has been a starting quarterback every year of his college career, looks lost when he lines up under center for Oregon? You have to ask yourself, why Anthony Brown, who has a world of experience, misses wide-open receivers like he did in the Pac-12 title game? The pick six that burned the Ducks in the first half, he should have never thrown that ball. He had a wide receiver streaking wide open down the sideline. Would have been an 80-yard touchdown. Instead, it went the other way for a touchdown. And the Ducks lost that game partly because of it. I don't blame Anthony Brown, just like I don't blame Justin Herbert. I blame coaching. So I put that blame on Mario Cristobal. If you're Rob Mullins, the Oregon AD, you have to go out and find a coach that can recruit. You have to go out and find a coach that can manage your locker room. And you need a coach that understands the strategy behind great college football, elite college football. No more losing to Auburn because you picked the wrong time to go for it. No more losing to Stanford because your defense was bend but don't break and it broke. No more losing to Utah when you played them 2 weeks prior and you know everything they're going to do and your team still has no answer for it. That's not acceptable anymore. I think Oregon needs to move beyond that. I see this as an opportunity to improve in coaching. I think Oregon can make a home run hire here, but that's on Rob Mullins. You've got to check off those boxes. You've got to get the right hire here. 541-630-4792. This is not exclusively Oregon football talk for the next 2 hours. I just want to warn you right here, right now. But I do talk about this because I honestly cannot fathom a single bigger topic in our state right now than the fact that the Ducks are running around headless, no head coach. That's a big deal to me. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Tell me what you think about the future of that Oregon football program. 541-630-4792. I think the second biggest topic in our state might throw you for a curveball, because I know my audience trends older, and generally that means you're pretty set in your fandom. Your football fans, your basketball fans, your baseball fans, a lot of baseball fans. Not a lot of soccer fans that listen to sports talk radio. But I think that what the Timbers have going for them is the second coolest story in our state right now. The Portland Timbers, as a soccer team, have existed in some form since the mid-'70s. And for the first time, Saturday, they are going to host MLS Cup, the single biggest event, the single biggest trophy achievement you can win in America. Where does that register for you? Are you going to go to that game? Are you driving to Portland and getting a seat at Providence Park? Are you going to watch that game? Televised on ABC Saturday. Where does this register for you? This is a probing question, really, more than anything, at the start of the show. Because I want to know, do I need to talk Timbers with you on my show for the rest of the week here? I love soccer. I love American soccer. I mean, you know, I've had Kevin Primorano from the Rogue Valley Timbers on this show more times than I can count. The Portland Timbers are a different animal. I love American soccer. I watch a handful of Timbers games. I don't watch all of them. I don't have time to watch all of them. I watch every U.S. national team game I can find, and I watch some of the Mexican games too because, you know, I love rubbing it in. If Mexico loses, that's a big deal in my house, right? We are a divided household where I live, so I love it when Mexico loses. Not for any like cruel race thing. I'm not playing that card, but like just the fact that I get to win over my wife and my in-laws makes me feel a little good inside. So yeah. I love soccer, and I'm going to watch that game Saturday. I'm not going to go. I don't have money for tickets, but, yeah, I'll definitely pull up a seat on the couch, maybe crack open a cold one, and see if the Timbers can win it all. I want to hear from you. Where does that register for you? 541-630-4792. Are you going to go? Are you going to watch? Let me know. 541-630-4792. Same question for Oregon State, because that's number 3 on the list. Biggest things going on in Oregon. The Beavers are bowling. How about that, Beaver fan? How about Jonathan Smith coming to Corvallis? And I know some people rolled their eyes. I've said this story so many times now. The words just roll right off my tongue. He comes to Corvallis. He shows off his Fiesta Bowl ring, and he says, we're going to go back. I'm going to walk into recruits' homes. I'm going to tell them we can win this. We can get back there. All you got to do is sign on the dotted line. And some people laughed at Jonathan Smith. But I think now you see the progression of that Oregon State program. You see how they've developed, and you see where they contrast with the rest of the Pac-12. Washington has fired their coach. In fact, they've had 2 coaches since Jonathan Smith left. USC has fired their coach. Oregon has lost their coach to Miami. And Jonathan Smith, the now standard for stability in the Pac-12 conference, is steadily building a winner at Oregon State. They're back bowling. They're going to the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. Next step, Fiesta Bowl. I believe it. I love this team. I love what they're doing. And I think next year, with a reeling Oregon team, remember, I think the Ducks are going to be fine long-term. Short-term is a different story. With a reeling Oregon team, with a reeling Washington and USC program, in total flux, new coaches, new visions, Jonathan Smith might have his way with the Pac-12. The LA Bowl, I think, is going to be the first warning shot across the bow. I'm excited for the Beavers. I'm really excited for the Beavers. LA Bowl coming up later this month right here on The Game. Are you going to go? Again, probing question here. I want to know how much I need to talk about this over the next 2 weeks. Are you going to go to that game? And if you're not, are you going to watch it? 541-630-4792. Let me know. Up ahead, let's talk about the Monday night snow globe. I want to say debacle. Debacle is the word on the top of my head, but Monday night debacle is going to be difficult to explain. So let's just talk about that mess of a snow globe in western New York last night. Bills, Patriots, it was snowy, it was cold, and something wild happened. I can't wrap my head around it. I'll see if you can. Southern Oregon Sports Talk. And then I want to tell you why I think Mario Cristobal left Oregon. We hit on this at the very end of last night's show, and I didn't have enough time to really elaborate where I was going here. So I want to talk about where I live. I want to talk about the community I live with, and something I see every day in that community that speaks to why Mario Cristobal wanted to go home. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW, 96.1, 580, The Game.
For the ones who are always in the know.
Delivery confirmed.
For the ones who keep things running. For the innovators and the problem solvers. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, experienced staff at local branches, and free access to experts to help answer your toughest questions. So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello, Southern Oregon. Joe Tate here, General Manager of Medford BMW. It's that time of the year again. I already see the holiday ads are running, the days are getting shorter, and the nights colder. So we are here to warm you up with the BMW Road Home Sales Event, our biggest event of the year. We think all of you have been very nice this year, and BMW wants to pass on to you the gift of the best incentives of the year. And as always, we at Medford BMW want you to join our family of buyers to truly understand what it is like to experience world-class service. Whether a new BMW is in your stocking or just a new-to-you pre-owned car or truck, we have you covered with the best selection of quality pre-owned cars and trucks in Southern Oregon. When you sell the ultimate driving machine, you take in the ultimate trades, all at remarkably affordable pricing. So visit us at our location off Grumman Drive or shop 24/7 at MedfordBMW.com, where world-class service, remarkably affordable pricing, and absolutely unbeatable deals come together.
We've been growing to serve people. You know, parent people, working people, teacher people, and student people too. We added 20 new branches in Fred Meyer locations, hired more on-point people, and continued to give back to people in our community. If all that makes you think we're your kind of people, then we're ready to help you too. On Point Community Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
This is the time of the year where I'm always keen to remind folks, if you work late or you work a night shift or you work a swing shift and you miss the NFL on Monday nights, tune in to us. 96.1 580 The Game. Now, you can't do that everywhere, right? I think if you're working at McDonald's or something, you know, you're working at Walmart, they might get mad if you have a radio with you in your pocket. But if you're working at a desk or you're driving a car, tune to us. 96.1 580 The Game. Thursday night football coming up. We'll have Sunday night football at the end of the week. How about the game we just had, Monday night game? That was nuts. Absolutely nuts. It really had me thinking about a couple different things. The first is something I say every now and then, and you might roll your eyes at it, but I think we saw proof of it last night. sometimes fans know more than coaches do. Like, imagine waking up in Western New York, in Buffalo, New York. You wake up yesterday morning, you see snow flurries and violent windstorms, and you feel that chill in your bones. The weather said it was 20, felt like 10, was what Monday Night Football reported last night. You feel all that, you see all that, and sense all of those things. You would say to yourself, well, we probably shouldn't throw the football tonight, right? I hope the Bills run the football. I hope the Bills don't try to kick a bunch of field goals and throw the football all around in a high-octane spread offense. As fans, you would experience that and hope it. And I know that's true because I know a Duck fan that went up to Seattle a month ago in a rainstorm against the Huskies. And they thought to themselves in the first and second and third and fourth quarters, I sure hope Anthony Brown doesn't have 40 pass attempts. I sure hope we don't try to kick a bunch of field goals. Let's pound the rock. In that game, the fans weren't smarter than the coaches because the coaches thought the same thing. They pounded the rock. They didn't put the football in Anthony Brown's hands. They didn't make Oregon do a bunch of throws and kick a bunch of field goals. They kept it on the ground. They worked with the elements. The Bills didn't do that last night. It fascinated me. As I watched that game, I thought, what are the Buffalo Bills doing? I thought after the first quarter, where they can barely move the football, Josh Allen can only throw to one side of the field because he can't throw into a crosswind. And, folks, that says something. We're talking about a cannon for an arm, maybe the best arm talent in the NFL. Strongest arm, longest throws, fastest throws, and he can't throw in those elements. That was telling to me. And I thought, well, surely by the second quarter they'll adjust. And then that didn't happen. The Patriots were doing well. I thought surely at halftime the Bills will adjust. That didn't happen. And the Buffalo Bills lose that football game. That stood out to me. The other thing that stood out to me is imagine being a coach on that Bills team. And you go through pregame warm-ups and you see the snow flurries and you feel that wind so bad that the Monday Night Football pregame crew were actually flown out of their chairs at one point. There's a video clip on social media of Susie Colbert and Steve Young and Charles Woodson and Randy Moss bracing for dear life because their chairs are flying out and their bodies are flying with it. They're all trying not to fall on their bottoms and embarrass themselves on live television. They looked panicked. It was bad. It was real, right? That's how crazy the weather was last night in Buffalo. Imagine being a coach or even just a player on that Bills team, and you're out in warm-ups. You feel that. Wouldn't you think to yourself, boy, we can't throw tonight. What about our opponents? Could they throw? Probably not, right? You have to do the math. You have to put 2 and 2 together. If Josh Allen can't throw in that weather, why would Mac Jones throw in that weather? And here's what happened last night. One team somehow, some way, didn't think that. One team somehow, some way, came in stupider than every fan in America. And one team didn't, because one team has the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. He's a genius. He's an absolute genius. And he didn't overthink it last night. Go through warm-ups, feel that weather. Okay, Mac Jones, you don't need to help us win tonight. We don't need you. You can't throw. You can't throw in this weather. You're a great young quarterback. You can throw and help us win every other game on the schedule. But tonight, you're just going to hand the football off. 3 passes the entire game for Mac Jones. In 2021, it takes a perfect storm for a football team to win by only throwing 3 passes and pounding the rock every other play. That's what the New England Patriots did last night. And I'm embarrassed for the Bills that they couldn't stop it. I'm embarrassed for the Bills that they never thought about needing to stop it. And I'm impressed by Bill Belichick showing off once again that he is the best coach in football. I want to hear from you. Your reaction last night to one of the rarest games I've ever seen. A storm so brutal that one team said, we're not going to throw the football. And the other team said, we'll only throw the football in one direction. We'll only throw to one side. We don't want crosswinds. Have you ever seen that before? And have you ever seen a team as stubborn as the Buffalo Bills were in that situation? I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Bill Belichick is worth every penny. Now, I don't think every coach is worth big money. And I'll tell you this with regards to Oregon. They lose Mario Cristobal. Some fans will say this was about Mario coming home. This was about Mario going to his alma mater. This was about going back to your hometown. This was a better place for your family. It's a better place to see your family, right? We know his mom is ill. All those things are true. Some other people might throw out that Oregon got outbid for Mario Cristobal. And I think that is true to an extent. I've read reports that suggest Oregon had a very competitive offer with what Miami offered. The Hurricanes gave him 10 years, $8 million a year. Oregon would have given him 10 years and $8.5 million. The difference is in staff budgets. Miami was going to give him a massive staff budget. The difference is in authority over renovations and upgrades. Oregon doesn't really need to do that. They're building a new indoor practice facility, but everything else is already to the nines, state of the art. So they didn't even need to do that. But Miami does need to do that, and they're giving Mario Cristobal the keys to that castle, letting him practically draw the blueprints, and he could put his own name on it if he wants. Call it the Mario Cristobal Center. I don't know if he will, but, you know, that's the kind of power he has over this. That's pretty valuable for Mario Cristobal. But I will leave you with this. Even if Oregon could have matched that, even if Oregon had said, hey, Mario, we'll let you take a demolition truck and swing it at the Mashofsky Center or the Casanova Center, and we'll let you rebuild the entire Oregon football apparatus from the ground level. As crazy as that may sound, I don't think that would be worth it for Mario Cristobal. I don't think it would be worth it. And I don't think 10 years and $85 million is worth it either. 3 weeks ago, maybe. 3 weeks ago, I drank the Kool-Aid just like everybody else. This guy's a top 10 recruiter. He's a good person. He's a great coach. Back-to-back Pac-12 titles en route to a third. And here's what happened over the last 3 weeks. I feel like Mario Cristobal got exposed. Talks a big game about recruiting. Talks a big game about character. What happened 2 weeks ago against Utah? The Ducks got dominated. And they didn't get dominated by a team that outraced them. It wasn't like they matched up with a Wazoo who threw all around the field and just sped past them in a finesse shootout. Utah smashed the Ducks. Utah ran the football at Kayvon Thibodeau and Noah Sewell, and they couldn't stop it. And on the other end, Utah got pressure on a Ducks offensive line full of 6'5", 6'6", 300-pound mammoths, and Oregon couldn't protect Anthony Brown. And Anthony Brown, 60-year senior, the most experienced quarterback in the Pac-12, a guy that has started every single season of his college career, looked lost. That's on Mario Cristobal. Talks a big game. Couldn't deliver. And then 2 weeks later, you play Utah again, and you don't have to worry about the snow, and you don't have to worry about the crowd, and honestly, you don't have to worry about any pressure. The college football playoff is out of the picture at that point, and nobody has Oregon favored in that game. The line was Utah -3 the whole week. I live in Oregon. I work in Oregon, so I picked the Ducks, but the nation wasn't picking the Ducks. You could have come in loose. Nobody believes in us. We got nothing to lose. And you could have done what you needed to do to win everybody back. And guess what happened? They were further exposed. You got whooped by the same team twice in 2 weeks. That is on coaching. I have no doubt about that. That's on Mario Cristobal. 10 years, $85 million. After those 2 games, folks, I don't think he was worth it. Great recruiter. Those 2 games showed me who he is and showed me his ceiling as a coach. I think Miami is going to struggle over the next few years. 541-630-4792. I want to hear from you. Let's say that Oregon could have offered everything Miami offered contractually. It's not family. It's not home. Put that out of the equation. Just look at the money. If Oregon could have met Miami dollar for dollar, would Mario Cristobal have been worth that? Would it be good to have Mario Cristobal on that mammoth contract? I say no. I don't think he would live up to it. 541-630-4792. One last point on that subject, and we'll move on to some other things, wrapping up hour number 1. He didn't just leave for the money. Like, the money was close, and I just laid it out to you, that technically Oregon offered more salary. Now, Miami offered some other perks, but salary, 10 years, $85 million versus 10 years and $80 million. Props to Oregon. They offered him more. But he left it on the table because there was something else drawing him to Miami. And I talked about this at the end of the show last night. I live in a neighborhood full of Hispanic people. And I do not mean that disparagingly. I mean it endearingly. My wife is Hispanic. My in-laws, obviously, Hispanic. First-generation Mexican-Americans. And I love living in this neighborhood. But I've noticed sometimes my neighbors get really homesick. Like, there's a house probably 2 or 3 homes down from us. This is a month or 2 ago. It's early enough in the fall to where the sun was still out at the end of my radio show, and it was still relatively warm outside by the end of the radio show. So around 6 o'clock, I'm hearing this trumpet blaring in the background, and I sign off the airwaves, and I hear this trumpet. So I walk outside, and I want to know, where's the sound coming from? Meanwhile, my wife is outside just chilling in the hammock out on our deck in the backyard. And she asks me, hey, do you hear that trumpet? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I hear this trumpet going off, right? So I do some snooping, walk out to my mailbox, get a little better view of the street, and I realize that there is a mariachi band, I kid you not, a live mariachi band blaring out hits. I mean, it's every mariachi classic, and I couldn't give you the names of them. I don't speak Spanish. All I know is it's catchy music. That's all I know. I played trombone in high school. I'm partial to brass. I think it's really good stuff. But this house on a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock has a live mariachi band blaring out all the hits. And they played until 10:30 that night on a weeknight. My in-laws came over the next day. We talked about it. And my father-in-law came to the conclusion that they're homesick. You have a family 2 doors down that are 1,000 miles from home. From, say, could be Costa Rica, could be Nicaragua, could be Honduras, Guatemala. And they work hard. They live in America. They grind to stay afloat and live in this neighborhood and afford rent in the Portland area and afford the cost of living in the Portland area. But it's hard for them because they're 1,000 miles or more from home. And where they are now is nothing like home. It's cold and dark and rainy, and no one is like you, right? You got to deal with neighbors like me, Matt Bagley. You got to deal with people that culturally are completely dissimilar from you. And I think that wears at you. I think it breaks you down. It would break anyone down. And so consider Mario Cristobal, Cuban-American, proud Cuban-American, lived in Miami his entire life up until going to Bama, and then gets the Oregon job, thinks, I'm going to be an assistant for Willie Taggart, but fate had other ideas. He gets thrust into the head job, has success right out of the gate, signs an extension, and he's faced with the possibility that he'll never go home again. And he's 3,000 miles from his home. I think that weighed on Mario Cristobal. Now, I still think Mario Cristobal was not worth 10 years, $85 million. I still think Oregon is going to be fine in the long term once they recover from the short-term loss of losing Mario Cristobal. I think you could even take it one step further and just say bluntly, Mario Cristobal is overrated. All that said, I do not fault Mario Cristobal for feeling homesick and addressing that. He was homesick. He's addressed that. And now he's home. Now he's with family. And he gets to move on from that chapter of his life. I say all the merrier to him. I say all the power in the world to him. I would do the same thing if I were in his shoes. Doing the same thing my neighbor does. I totally get it. 541-630-4792. We'll talk about what Miami gets, what Oregon gets, what Mario Cristobal gets now that that future has been laid out. We'll talk about the last electric week of NFL football. Some huge upsets and some not so upset kind of games. And we'll talk about the college football playoff as well next segment. Top 4 is set in stone. We know who's playing, we know where they are playing, and when they are playing. And now I want to know, did the committee get it right? Is this the right 4 in the right order? How did we get here? Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580 The Game.
Comfort is more than a feeling. It's the pride knowing your heating and cooling system is performing at a high level of confidence. That's why Lamb Air Heating and Air Conditioning is partnered with York International as the only certified York dealer in the Rogue Valley for commercial and residential spaces. York has redefined home comfort with unparalleled efficiency, convenience, and reliability. Maintaining your heating and cooling system is a huge part of preventing costly repairs. Join Lamb Air's Lion's Den preventative maintenance program. This keeps your warranty up to date and ensures your system is ready for the upcoming season. Plus, get discounts for sales and service being part of the pride. Visit online at lamb-air.com. Lamb Air not only installs York systems, they repair and service all makes and models, along with 24-hour emergency response. If it's time for a new system, repairs, or you have a system emergency, Lamb Air and York International are here for you. Call Lamb Air at 541-476-6978 or 541-772-8260. Pride and performance.
Your treasure awaits at Picker's Paradise.
Picker's Paradise has something you sports lovers want. Whether you're looking for sports memorabilia items like autographed sports cards or one-of-a-kind signed jerseys and pictures, Picker's Paradise is your go-to for all things sports. Check out their items on their Facebook page or website at PickersParadiseLLC.com. If you or your loved one is a fanatic, look no farther than Picker's Paradise on South Pacific Highway heading into Phoenix. Just look for Picker Bill on the big yellow sign.
So if that answers all your questions about your new cloud storage, would you like to hear about our voice-over internet systems?
Sounds perfect.
Well done. Let's try it again. This time, ask about data security.
Yeah!
Would you enjoy working on a world-class team with the best training in the country? Then consider a career at Pacific Office Automation. Join our fast-growing team where we offer strong benefits and competitive compensation. Apply at pacificoffice.com/careers. Pacific Office Automation. Problem solved.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Of course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love
my job.
Oak Tree?
Sup?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
541-630-4792. Is Bill Belichick the greatest coach of all time? I've asked that question so many times over the years. My answer is steadfast. It hasn't changed. Yes. Lombardi could not do what he does in 2021. Neither could Bill Walsh. Neither could Tom Landry. The game is so complicated now, so crazy now, and Bill Belichick, decades in, continues to outclass everyone else he goes up against. Take last night as a golden example. The weather was miserable, and we all knew it. The weather reports coming out of Buffalo were brutal. Everybody knew, okay, Monday morning, it's windy, it's snowy, it's going to be cold. Don't throw the football. Don't build your entire game plan around a spread passing offense, throwing the football 40 times. It's not going to work. Bill Belichick got that memo, came up with a game plan, and the Patriots executed that game plan in perfection. Mac Jones only threw 3 passes. They won. On the other side, the Buffalo Bills didn't get that memo. Even though they live in Buffalo, they know those elements. Not only were they not prepared on offense, Josh Allen throwing that ball at the whim of the weather and struggling to do so as the Bills were held under 20 points. But on the defensive side, how do you not prepare for your opponent running the football in that weather? Does the thought never cross your mind that the weather is going to impact passing games and force your opponent to adjust? The Patriots ran on first down, on second down, on third and long, and they still moved the sticks. The Bills couldn't stop it. Kudos to Bill Belichick. That's one of the best coaching performances I've ever seen, and it's a feather in his cap that's already full of feathers in an illustrious career. Greatest coach ever. 541-630-4792 if you've got thoughts. I'd also love to know what you think about the college football playoff. We know who the best 4 teams in America are, according to the playoff committee. Bama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati. Those are your 4, and in that order. Did the committee get it right? Let me know what you think. 541-630-4792. I have an issue with the top 2, purely because I think Michigan got docked. I think Michigan got penalized for not playing Georgia on Saturday. Bama gets a boost for playing Georgia and goes from that team that struggled to score in the Iron Bowl 2 weeks ago to a team that now we believe is the best in America. I don't think that's real. I don't think that's right. Bama, to me, is just as beatable as they were on Friday leading up to the SEC title game. It just so happened we learned more about Georgia, one of the best defenses in the country, if not the best. But their secondary had a rough go. Alabama threw right over them the whole day. And Georgia's passing game on the other side, ugly. You're lucky you have a month to prepare because they're going to need it, right? I learned more about Georgia as a 3 or a 4 seed than I learned about Bama as a 1 seed. So my only issue is I think those are the best 4. I don't like the order of those 4. I would have Michigan number 1, Bama number 2, Georgia number 3, and then Cincinnati number 4. I know why the committee doesn't have those teams. I know that an SEC rematch in the semis is bad for business. You don't want to nuke one of the SEC teams when you can have an all-SEC championship and all the ratings in the Deep South that come from an all-SEC championship, right? The biggest college football, craziest, most passionate college football markets in America. You'll want those two teams in the title game. I understand why the committee did it that way, but I don't think those are the best 4 teams in that order. To me, it's Michigan, Bama, then Georgia, then Cincinnati. I think that's the fairest way to do it. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. Speaking of those 4 teams, how about Michigan? How about Jim Harbaugh finally getting over the hump? I think it's a win for every stable program in America. So scratch off everybody that just replaced their coach or everybody that just lost their coach. Sorry, Ducks. But I'm thinking of Jonathan Smith at Oregon State. I'm thinking of Kyle Whittingham at Utah. I'm thinking about Dave Aranda if he stays at Baylor, which is up in the air. He could be a candidate for the Oregon job. Lots of time left on that, but you never know. And then I think about Dabo Swinney at Clemson and Ryan Day at Ohio State. Programs that have stability at the coaching position, like Harbaugh's been at Michigan for 5 years now, 6 years now? When you have stability at the coaching position, you can build a roster over 4 or 5 years with a singular vision in how you develop that roster over those 4 or 5 years, and it can come to fruition in the biggest moments. Michigan wanted to be physical, and they were physical 2 weeks ago against Ohio State. They wanted to be physical, and they were physical Saturday in the Big Ten championship game. This is the team Jim Harbaugh wanted to build when he came to Michigan. And finally, after years, they were patient with him, maybe too patient with him. I don't think he deserved it, to be honest with you. I would have probably fired him after last year. They were patient with him. That patience paid off. I hope that becomes the new norm in college football. I really do. I look at Oregon State with Jonathan Smith, Kyle Whittingham with Utah. There are examples all over the country. Schools that have given their coaches patience, and it's paying dividends. Maybe that's another thing Rob Mullins needs to check off on the list. Get a coach that'll stay at Oregon long-term and build something long-term the way Jim Harbaugh did at Michigan, Kyle Whittingham at Utah, Jonathan Smith at OSU. Maybe that's on the agenda. I want to know what you think Oregon should do. Who do you think Oregon should go after? I've heard a lot of people say Chip Kelly, and I get it. Totally get it. As a Raider fan, I'm embarrassed to admit this now. 5 years ago, I was banging the drum for John Gruden. 5 years ago, I was dreaming that someday the golden boy would come back. The prodigal son would return home. And he did. And I celebrated. I remember telling my wife, the day the Raiders hired John Gruden, I went, yes! And I celebrated. And we went out to Dairy Queen and got milkshakes. I don't know why we went to Dairy Queen and got milkshakes, but I vividly remember that in my mind. That I said, we need to go out and celebrate. And I went out to Dairy Queen, got some milkshakes. I might need another milkshake or two or something a lot stronger than that, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, if I think much more about John Gruden as a football coach. That'll tell you my opinion on reunions. They sound great. They start great. They don't always work. In fact, there's a lot of pitfalls along the way. Chip Kelly at Oregon 2.0, if it happens, don't fool yourself. This isn't 2011 Chip Kelly. This isn't Oregon's Chip Kelly when he has Marcus Mariota, when he has Darren Thomas, when he has LaMichael James, and he has DeAnthony Thomas. No. This is UCLA Chip Kelly. This is grizzled veteran coach Chip Kelly, who flamed out of the NFL, and a Chip Kelly that is notoriously, shall we say, unfriendly and unwilling to go recruit. This is a totally different Chip Kelly than the Chip Kelly a decade ago at Oregon. I would be wary about Chip Kelly coming back to the Ducks. But maybe that's who you want. Let me know. 541-630-4792. I'm going to take a really short break, 2 minutes, and then I'll come back. I don't normally take a short break, but we're running low on time, and I got commercials to hit. Really quick break, 2 minutes, and then I promise I'm back with you right here. Let's talk Rob Mullins, and let's talk playoffs in the NFL. Southern Oregon Sports Talk.
Apply today if you're looking for a job with an amazing company. Do you want to work for a company that understands how business is conducted and how to treat people right? One that recognizes how their employees directly impact their success? Well, at MasterBrand, we get it. At MasterBrand, you will experience a working environment and culture where all associates are respected and valued. You see, at MasterBrand, we believe our employees are our most important strength. And since you contribute directly to our success, MasterBrand will provide you with a starting wage of $18 per hour. You heard that right. At MasterBrand, your starting wage will be $18 per hour. On top of that, you will also receive an incredible benefits package that includes medical, dental, vision, life, and more. At MasterBrand, you'll receive paid time off to take care of the things that matter most, and we will support you and your family to stay healthy, physically, emotionally, and financially. Let's be successful together. Join an amazing team at MasterBrand. Apply today at masterbrand.com.
On the seventh day of Christmas, Harry and David said to me, get hired and earn extra holiday money.
All seasonal warehouse and distribution associates needed. Plus, Harry and David is now hiring 16 years of age and older. Material handlers can earn up to $21.72 an hour. No experience necessary, and working at Harry and David includes so many special perks, such as paid on-the-job training, generous employee discount, subsidized meal costs with on-site cafeteria, discounted RVTD bus passes, fun activities, prizes, and giveaways, including a chance to win big screen TVs. Flexible schedules, full-time, part-time, and weekend-only work available. It's Harry and David's final days of hiring. Last chance to get hired and earn extra holiday cash. Load the trucks and make the bucks. For more information, text or call 541-864-2082. Apply online at harryanddavid.com/jobs today.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
541-630-4792. I want you to be Rob Mullins for me. I want you to pretend you're the athletic director at Oregon. Do you go out and spend big money on Chip Kelly? Do you spend big money on, say, Dave Aranda at Baylor? Big money on, say, Luke Fickell at Cincinnati? What do? Who do you talk to? Who do you reach out to? Let me know. 541-630-4792. One more question in that mold for you. Do you blame Rob Mullins for what went down this week? Do you think he was cheap? Do you think he could have paid Mario Cristobal and wooed Mario Cristobal to stay at Oregon? 541-630-4792. I don't think so. I think even if Oregon had broken the bank, even if the Ducks had said, we'll match whatever Miami throws at you, and if you've looked at what's been reported, they did. They matched almost dollar for dollar what Miami threw Mario Cristobal. The difference is in some of the small stuff, some of the fine print, right? Miami was going to give him a bigger coaching budget. Miami offered him more say in infrastructure, in the facilities, and in any future upgrades at Miami. He gets to basically draw blueprints on new practice facilities, new locker rooms, all of that jazz. If Oregon had given him that, I still think he would have turned it down. But I don't blame Rob Mullins, even if Rob Mullins might have been hesitant to give Mario Cristobal that, because I don't think Mario Cristobal was worth that anymore. Not after what we saw the last 3 weeks, the last 3 games. You can't lose to the same team twice in the way you lost. Blowout losses, brutal losses, exposing losses. Mario Cristobal got shown as an elite recruiter that can't coach in those moments, can't coach in those big games, leaves plays on the board, leaves points on the board, and costs the Ducks a shot at the Pac-12 championship. I don't blame Rob Mullins for getting cold feet after that. 541-630-4792. Wrapping hour number one. We'll talk AFC playoff picture and NFC playoff picture next hour. I'll give you a little hint here. When the playoffs roll around, I can tell you right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I will bet against the Buffalo Bills. I'll tell you why next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk.
It's the Pop-Up Brew and Santa Fest at the Expo, Jackson County Fairgrounds, Friday, December 10th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday, December 11th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Rogue Broadband and Ashland HomeNet, along with our friends at Western Beverage, Anheuser-Busch, and Columbia Distributing, are bringing in great craft brews and a variety of seltzers for you to try out. Come join us for a pop-up event like no other. Wear your festive attire if you want, and bring your friends for what's certain to be a great time tasting great craft brews and seltzers. Don't miss the Pop-Up Brew and Santa Fest at the Expo, Friday, December 10th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturday, December 11th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Go to attheexpo.com for tickets and details. We'll see you there.
Ho, 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 ho.
For the ones who are always in the know.
Delivery confirmed.
For the ones who keep things running. For the innovators and the problem solvers. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, experienced staff at local branches, and free access to experts to help answer your toughest questions. So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
So, I'm a dog, and I'm kind of new to this family, but I've noticed a trend. My humans do this thing where they go around and get all my toys and hide them in this basket, but it's always the same basket, and it's always the same place, and then they act so surprised when I find them, but I'm like, hello, that's where you put it last time. Humans are the worst at hide and go seek.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Jim Rome is on CBS Sports Radio.
The Phoenix Suns are good, really good, and extremely tough. They are built for this. Their offense is good, but they get after you on defense. They'll lock you up, and they will punish you in transition. I bring this up because the Suns were supposed to be a team that was inexperienced when it came to the playoffs. A team that was supposed to melt under all the pressure and expectation. They're that good, and they are that dangerous.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon on 96.1 580 The Game.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is your home for the Super Bowl.
He turns, he dives, it is a touchdown! It is a touchdown!
KTMT 580 AM and K241CA 96.1 FM Ashland.
Your teams.
It is Barner, and he's gone!
The Beavers are the national champions! Brandon, a three-pointer out front. Hit it! Yes, he did!
His take.
Here's what I think.
Matt Bagley.
I love covering high school football. And I remember one year in particular, I was covering a North Medford team that had a cheat code. They didn't have the best defense, didn't have the best passing game, but they were a competitive team. And it's because they had a cheat code, a human cheat code. They had a kid who was 6'6", 250 pounds, and fast. Cheat code.
Talking local sports.
I'm reminded of that young man after seeing what I saw from Seattle last night. When 20 seconds left, Russell Wilson just says, screw it. We got a guy that's bigger, faster, and better than everybody else. And he heaves a prayer for that guy. DK Metcalf is the Seahawks human cheat code.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580 The Game.
So we know the AFC playoff picture as it stands right now. Patriots the 1 seed after that statement last night. Then the Titans, then the Ravens. 4 seed is Kansas City. Those are your division leaders right now. Wild card teams, if the season ended today, Chargers are the 5 seed. They would go to Arrowhead. Bengals are the 6 seed. They would go to Baltimore. And the Buffalo Bills would play Tennessee in a rematch as well in the opening round. I'll tell you right now, when the playoffs roll around, if the Bills are in the playoffs, I am going to sprint to the line, place a bet down against them, and celebrate the entire weekend. I will bet against the Bills, and I think I'll make a lot of money by doing so. They were exposed. It was the biggest game of their year last night. Monday Night Football, primetime television, nationwide audience. Your rival is coming to town. If you win, you're in the picture for the 1 seed in the AFC. You're in the lead in your division. And, oh, by the way, you have a massive advantage leading up to that game. They played on Thanksgiving, so they didn't have to play last Sunday. That means the Buffalo Bills had 12 days rest leading into that game. How do you not prepare for that? How are you not ready on Monday Night Football in front of the world to play your best game? And they didn't play their best game. I think that is inarguable. The New England Patriots only threw 3 times. And you can look at that one of 2 ways. You can say, wow, that's really quirky. Wow, the Patriots, like boxing with one hand tied behind your back or shooting a free throw in your weaker hand, right? They did it. That's so weird. That's so clunky and quirky. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it, the way that I look at it, the New England Patriots only needed to throw 3 times because the Buffalo Bills couldn't stop them. They ran on first down, they ran on second down, ran on third down. Distance didn't matter. I saw them run on 3rd and 14 more than once in that game. 3rd and 14. Who runs the football on 3rd and 14? Bill Belichick's New England Patriots do. That's who. And it paid off for them. They won the football game. That is inexcusable to me. The Buffalo Bills knew the weather was going to suck. They knew the weather was going to prevent both teams from throwing the football across the yard. And when New England adjusted by pounding the rock on the ground, running the football, the Buffalo Bills couldn't adjust. They couldn't stop that. Inexcusable. When the playoffs roll around, I'm going to bet against Buffalo. I'm going to make a bunch of money doing so because that team is just exposed. They aren't as good as we want to believe. Biggest game of their lives, biggest game of the year, and they play like that. I'm at a loss for words. Another game that stood out to me Sunday. I wish I could say that one team got exposed and one team didn't, but I can't say that at all. I don't know if the fortunes really change that much either way. But how about the Seattle Seahawks getting that win Sunday? It's always nice to beat a rival. Nick Bosa said that the Niners just weren't ready in that game. They blew it, didn't show up. And I think that's true. But I also just got to give credit. Pete Carroll has everybody in the world saying he's going to get fired at the end of the year. John Schneider, same story. Everybody's wondering, where's Russell Wilson going to play next year? And the Seahawks go out and play their best football. Run it really well. Solid defense. Wasn't incredible. Didn't force a bunch of turnovers. Didn't have a bunch of sacks and great plays. We're not talking about the 85 Bears, but they did enough to win. And they won against a rival. I think that's nice, too. Like, I've always said as a Raiders fan, and maybe I had to say this as a Raiders fan, we've had so many lean years, but for my fandom, my team can go 4-12 if those 4 wins go against the Chiefs and the Broncos. I've never been that mad at the Chargers. I don't really have a beef with the Chargers. They're like a little brother. But the Chiefs hate them. The Broncos hate them. If you get 4 wins a year against your rivals, that's good enough for me. Go 4-12, but sweep the Chiefs, sweep Denver. Obviously, that's not going to happen for my guys this year. But for the Seahawks, they swept their rival. Maybe they only win 4 games this year. Maybe they fall short of the playoffs this year. But they can look back at the end of the year, and all the 12s and everybody on that team can be proud they swept their rival. They beat the Niners when it counted. And they might have kept the Niners out of the playoffs. Now, I don't think much changes after that game, but there's 5 weeks left. If the San Francisco Niners are on the outside looking in when the dust is settled on this season, you have to look back at that sweep by the hands of Seattle, that they could not get a win against the Seahawks. You have to say that cost them a shot at the playoffs. 541-630-4792. I'd love your thoughts. Big story in sports, at least if you're in the Pacific Northwest. I assume you are. If you're listening to Southern Oregon Sports Talk, I assume you're in the Pacific Northwest. Our biggest story is Mario Cristobal. 48 hours ago, he was the head coach of the Ducks. 24 hours ago, he was gone. Going to Miami, going home, better for his family, better for his future. He can spin it every which way. And right now, Duck fans, well, they're tail spinning. They're in free fall, fearing for their program because Mario Cristobal is one of the best recruiters in America. Top 10 recruiting class after top 10 recruiting class after top 10 recruiting class. And now he's gone. His coaches are going with him. And the players might go with him too. There's going to be a lot of transfers and departures. And even if there aren't, there will be a lot of rumors about that happening over the next couple of months. I want to save you from that tailspin. I want to get you out of that mindset. The grass isn't always greener. Mario Cristobal left Oregon, and he wants to win a national championship at Miami. But look at what happened to the other guys in his shoes. Rich Brooks. I led the show talking about this. He gets the Ducks their first conference championship outright ever. Their first Rose Bowl in almost 40 years. Then he leaves for the NFL, never wins anything ever for the rest of his career. Rams fire him, assistant coach for the Falcons. Then he goes to Kentucky, gets whooped in the SEC every year. Didn't work out for him. Chip Kelly goes to the NFL. I thought he was going to revolutionize football. I have said for years that I'm thankful I didn't have a sports talk radio show when Chip Kelly got hired by the Eagles, because I would have embarrassed myself in hindsight by all the times I said Chip Kelly will change pro football. He will revolutionize it. He will innovate it. He will break it. And he will force the entire league to catch up to him. I thought he was that good. I thought it was a guarantee Chip Kelly would win a Super Bowl or more. Goes to the NFL, and all he won was flack. Damaged his reputation in Philly. His players hated him. Loses games, gets canned. Goes to San Francisco. That was a debacle from day one. Loses a ton. 1 year wonder, he's gone. Doesn't work out for him. Now, is it UCLA trying to damage or trying to repair a damaged reputation? That's a work in progress. Willie Taggart leaves Oregon for Florida State. A lot of the same stories that we're hearing about Mario Cristobal right now. Grew up in Florida, grew up a fan of a certain program, wanted to go home, gets that dream job, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He got fired 2 years later. Couldn't win there. They had to can him. And now he's right back where he was before Oregon. None of those coaches won after they left the Ducks. None of them. None of those coaches succeeded after they left the Ducks. We worry about Mario Cristobal. Sure, he's an elite recruiter. And I think he's going to win the recruiting battles. He will put up a great ranking. He'll get to celebrate on signing day. And he'll talk a big game all year about the level of talent he's bringing to Coral Gables, Florida. Miami will win the recruiting battles under Mario Cristobal. They will win on the recruiting blogs. They'll win on the websites and ESPN. And they'll get to lift that trophy on signing day. But the real trophies won on Saturday, those are going to get won by Oregon. Miami's going to win signing day. Oregon's going to win on Saturdays. I really think Oregon's going to be fine long-term without Mario Cristobal. Now, sure, this offseason is going to suck. Players are going to transfer. Recruits are going to decommit. That will happen. Coaches are going to leave. That will happen too. And Oregon will be in a free fall for a little bit. Oregon is going to be left wondering, how do we pick up the pieces here? It's going to be like the year Willie Taggart left and all the top recruits in the state bailed on the Ducks. Chase Cota picked UCLA. Talanoa Hufanga, 5-star defensive back from Corvallis, he picked USC. Braden Lenzy in Tigard, great 4-star wideout. We forget about him. He picked Notre Dame. There were some great players, once in a generation level of talent in that recruiting class in state. And they all said thanks, but no thanks to Oregon. That was bad. But Oregon recovered. And Oregon will recover again. I firmly believe that. The Ducks are going to be fine long term. One last topic this segment. I asked this question earlier, and I didn't get a response at all, which kind of suggests what I was wondering. Are you going to watch the MLS Cup on Saturday? Not the MLS, but, the Cup is what I mean. Are you going to watch MLS Cup on Saturday? And the reason I ask is the Timbers just happen to be hosting that match. It's the championship game of American soccer in 2021, and it's going to be hosted in Portland at Providence Park, home of the Timbers. Are you going to drive up? Are you going to watch that in person? Or are you going to just turn your television on and watch it from the comfort of home? Let me know what you're going to do. I want to know if you care about that. I want to know if I need to talk about that on the radio this week. I love soccer. I love the Timbers. I don't talk about it a ton on the radio. And, I guess tonight I'm affirmed in the why. 541-630-4792. There's another story in that story, kind of nestled inside of it, that I don't know how interested you are in this, but as a broadcaster, it kind of piqued my interests. The Portland Timbers have a deal with a radio station up in the Portland area. 750 The Game. It's a station that I've talked about before. I like it. I listen to it. I borrow some things from what they do and incorporate them into what we do here at 96.1 580 The Game. They get to broadcast Timbers games every Saturday, and they are the only station in America that gets to broadcast Timbers games every Saturday. Except they won't get to broadcast the Timbers this Saturday because ABC and Major League Soccer are not allowing any local radio broadcasts. What do you think about that? Like, imagine if Oregon State had somehow won the Pac-12 and reached a Rose Bowl this year. Imagine if ABC turned around, or the NCAA turned around and told Mike Parker, we don't want you here. You're not welcome. You can't broadcast this game for the Beaver Sports Network. Imagine if Oregon had got to the playoff and got to another national championship game for the third time, and the voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen, got turned at the door. There would be an uproar. Fans would go ballistic. ABC won't let a local radio station cover their local team in the biggest game of the year. I think it's a bad move, and I think it's a really tough blow for diehard Timbers fans. I don't know how many of them listen to this radio show, but I do know they are out there. I know that there are diehards because I get the messages from people. I get text messages, I get calls, I get Facebook messages from people asking me on Saturdays, are you carrying the Timbers match? I get that from time to time, and I always have to say, hey, I'm sorry, we don't have the rights. It's handled by one station and one station only, and they don't give it to anybody else. I have to actually feel sorry for that station, and I feel sorry for their fans that ABC won't let them have their fun on Saturday. I think it's a mistake, and I think it's a really bad look on American soccer that arguably the most passionate soccer community in the country, the Portland area, cannot tune in on the radio and hear that championship game. 541-630-4792 if you've got thoughts. Next segment, I've got thoughts on the Ducks. I've got thoughts on their next football game. That's right. We've been talking about coaching and future. Let's look at the present, the Alamo Bowl. And then let's look at where Oregon State gets to go, the Jimmy Kimmel Los Angeles Bowl. Plus, the playoff picture in the NFC. Who entered the picture and who got out of it? Who's going to the playoffs and who isn't? We'll talk about that next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1 580 The Game.
Jackson County, we are so close.
Hi, my name is Lynn, and I got the vaccine because I wanted to protect my 2 grandchildren who are too young to be vaccinated. I have a husband with a cancer diagnosis, and I think it's my patriotic duty to protect the vulnerable in our community.
The vaccine is safe.
Hi, my name's Rosie, and I got vaccinated because I wanted to protect my family and I wanted to protect my community. And I want to get back to teaching face-to-face because I love my students and I want to see them in person.
The vaccine is effective.
I'm Bonnie, and I got vaccinated because I spent 3 weeks on a ventilator. I survived death, and I've had the urgency since I've been home to share this with people, to make the right choice and be responsible to help others from ever being put at death's door.
The vaccine is safe, effective, and saves lives. Jackson County, we are so close. This message is from Jackson County Public Health.
On the 7th day of Christmas, Harry and David said to me, get hired and earn extra holiday money.
All seasonal warehouse and distribution associates needed. Plus, Harry and David is now hiring 16 years of age and older. Material handlers can earn up to $21.72 an hour. No experience necessary, and working at Harry and David includes so many special perks, such as paid on-the-job training, generous employee discount, subsidized meal costs with on-site cafeteria, discounted RVTD bus passes, fun activities, prizes, and giveaways, including a chance to win big screen TVs. Flexible schedules, full-time, part-time, and weekend-only work available. It's Harry and David's final days of hiring. Last chance to get hired and earn extra holiday cash. Load the trucks and make the bucks. For more information, text or call 541-864-2082. Apply online at harryanddavid.com/jobs today.
Welcome back to the Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, tail-wagging, backyard-hanging, and, of course, companionship.
And what breed would you say Satchmo is?
I'd have to go with maybe a lavish terrier-hound chihuahua-looking kind of mix.
Tremendous dog.
I'd also like to point out Satchmo's coloring, a white, gray, brown, black brindle, simply marvelous.
You know, it's such a treat to watch a dog like this.
Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive. And now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance, so common with this group.
And finally, the loving face lick.
It's great how he just gets in there and, well, licks.
Fantastic. But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
You want to talk Alamo Bowl for a minute? I laugh because obviously Mario Cristobal's departure and Oregon's future is the big story, right? Who's going to be the next head coach of the Ducks? This almost feels like a lame duck game. Doesn't really matter. Will have no implications on the bigger picture of Oregon football going forward. But it is a game. Oregon has a football game at the end of this month in San Antonio, Texas, against a top 25 team. What do you think about that? Oregon, Oklahoma, Alamo Bowl. Let me know what you think. Let me know how important that is to you. 541-630-4792. We know we're not going to have Mario Cristobal and a lot of his coaching staff. They're going to Miami. We know we're not going to have Kayvon Thibodeau. He just declared for the draft. And I say, all's best at the next level. I hope KT gets a number 1 overall draft pick. I love the kid. I love his game. I'm not miffed at all that he walks out of the bowl game on Oregon. If it were the Rose Bowl, I think he plays. If it was a college football playoff semifinal, I know he plays. The Alamo Bowl, when your head coach just bailed for Miami, yeah, you get a mulligan. You go do what's best for your career. Go to Arizona, go work out, get ready for the combine, and then go get that number 1 overall draft pick, bud. I'm totally okay with that. As for the rest of the team, I think the Alamo Bowl is an opportunity to learn about this Oregon program. I said all show, I think Mario Cristobal got exposed. I drank the Kool-Aid. I bought into everything. I really firmly, truly believed this Oregon program was different. They recruited at a caliber higher than the rest of the Pac-12. They brought in a caliber of coach in their assistant staff that I thought was higher than the rest of the Pac-12. I have the world's respect for Aaron Feld, the maniac with a mustache who was Oregon's strength and conditioning program coordinator. I have immense respect for Bobby Williams, the special teams coach that previously was one of Nick Saban's lieutenants at Alabama. A bunch of respect for Tim DeRuyter, who was a head coach at Fresno State, for Joe Moorhead, who was a head coach at Mississippi State, calling plays on offense and defense, respectively. I thought Oregon's staff, Oregon's coach, Oregon's program was the best in the Pac-12 conference. And I thought it was the best by quite a difference. And yet, twice in 2 weeks, Oregon was exposed. The best team in the conference was slapped around in Utah. And then 2 weeks later, they go to Vegas, neutral site, play that same team with none of the disadvantages the previous go-round. No snow, no rabid opposing fan base, no element of surprise. They knew Utah. They'd played Utah. They had the game plan ready to go. Didn't have to tweak much, right? You knew who the Utes were. Like Dennis Green used to say back in the day, right? The famous Dennis Green quote after his Cardinals lost in a Monday Night Football game where they had a big lead in the second half and blew it. They are who we thought they were. That was the message, right? Utah was who you thought they were. And Utah still punched Oregon in the mouth, blew them out. Back-to-back Utah blowouts. I don't drink that Kool-Aid anymore. I don't believe Mario Cristobal or his coaches or his players are as good as they all say they are. I don't believe that team is as talented as the recruiting rankings suggested they were. Because they beat Utah in those rankings, but they couldn't beat them on the gridiron. In fact, they couldn't even hang with them on the gridiron. That was telling to me. The Alamo Bowl will tell me something else, I hope. I hope the Alamo Bowl shows that there is talent on this team, there is heart and leadership on this team, and there is a future for this team. That's what I want to see in the Alamo Bowl at the end of the month. That's why I care about it. I want to hear from you. Do you care about it? 541-630-4792. Oregon has a football game at the end of the month. It's not all doom and gloom. The season's not over yet. Let me know what you think. 541-630-4792. And it really does go to show, like, if Mario Cristobal doesn't foresee or doesn't work at the helm of, the better way I could put this, if he's not at the helm of 2 blowout losses in 2 weeks, I think Mario Cristobal is still at Oregon. I really do. I think Oregon would have signed off on everything Miami offered. They would have even raised it. And they would have said, hey, we want you here long term. You are our guy. You are the right guy to keep this program on track for a national championship. But I don't think you can say that after Oregon got so brutally beat down by Utah. You can win in the recruiting battles. You can win on National Signing Day all you want. But you got to win on Saturdays. Mario Cristobal couldn't do that. Lose to Utah twice. I think that was brutal for him. And I will say this too. If it's 2 blowouts to 2 different schools, that hurts. But it's not as bad. What really makes the Utah losses bad to me is you get a mulligan in the Pac-12 title game. You get an opportunity to look back and say, okay, what did we do wrong? What did we do right? Let's get it right. And they didn't do it. They got blown out by Utah. They got a chance to make amends for that, play them again. Nothing changed. And Utah blew them out again. That was damning to me. I never thought I would see a Mario Cristobal coach team play like that. I didn't even fathom it. So I woke up after that. I'm off the Cristobal train. I'm okay with him going to Miami. It's like I said earlier, right? The grass isn't always greener. He thinks it might be. He's going to go to Miami. He's going to think he wins a national championship there. I say good luck. I think Oregon's going to be the more compelling program long-term than Miami. But I want to hear from you. Well, I want your reaction to that Pac-12 title game and your state of the program, if you can give it to me. 541-630-4792. It's fascinating, too, because you can compare where the Ducks are to Oregon State. And it's a lot closer of a comparison than it was a couple weeks ago. I don't think the Beavers have as talented of a roster. I don't think the Beavers have the facilities. They don't have the booster support. And I think even Beaver fan would violently nod their heads in agreement there, right? There's a reason you guys always call the Ducks Nike U. You're both Nike schools, but one is really a Nike school. All that said, the on-field product is awfully close. Awfully close. What if you put a couple of those Oregon players on the Beavers roster? Like, obviously, this won't happen. He's done. He's going to go to the NFL. If Oregon State had Kayvon Thibodeau, do they beat the Ducks this year? If Oregon State had Travis Dye, Do they beat the Ducks this year? I think there's a shot they do. I think there's a chance. That's how close these teams are, maybe one or two players away. And if you're Jonathan Smith in Corvallis and you just watched Lincoln Riley walk into Los Angeles, think he owns the conference, good luck with that. Talk about walking into a mess. USC is still a mess. It's going to take time to clean that up. And you see Kalen DeBoer take the leap from G5 football at Fresno State to big boy Power 5 ball in Seattle. Good luck with that. I'm not saying he'll fail. I like Kalen DeBoer, but that's going to be a work in progress. You see a situation at Wazoo that almost boggles the mind of a massive gaping rift in that locker room and in that program with players and coaches that that just did not realize we live in a pandemic. And you see that. And you see what happened at Oregon with Mario Cristobal. You have to think you are the most stable program in the Pac-12. And that your stock will soar, your team will improve, and you can realistically aim towards a Pac-12 championship. I think that's a reasonable goal for Oregon State now. They can capitalize on this. I'm not saying they will, but they can go out. I think they can poach a little bit from Oregon. Some of these names don't want to leave. And some of these names probably won't get the chance to leave. I don't think Mario Cristobal is going to take the whole staff with him. He burns people out. And I said this earlier, right? You don't have to look at just this coaching staff in the last 3 weeks. Look at the names that left Oregon in the last few years. Andy Avalos might be my favorite coach outside of our state in the whole country. I've talked to Jonathan Smith personally. I like him. I had talked to Mario Cristobal personally. I liked Mario Cristobal before he left. I liked Aaron Feld. I liked Tim DeRuyter and Joe Moorhead. And these names in the Oregon staff that I'd gotten to know over the years, interviewing them on this show and on my podcast that I do. Andy Avalos might top that list. He is my favorite non-Duck, non-Beaver of the bunch. Brilliant guy, really down to earth, loves the outdoors, loves fishing, loves hunting, loves the Northwest, and totally gets the appeal of the Northwest. I liked Andy Avalos when he was at Oregon, but he could only stay for 2 years. He had to get out. Marcus Arroyo, same story. Only was there for a couple of years, had to get out. Jim Leavitt, only there for a couple of years, had to get out. Keith Hayward worked for Mario Cristobal. Couldn't handle that heat, had to get out. Mario Cristobal runs through assistant coaches. He burns them out because he wants them to be all recruiting all the time, just like him. And they want to coach. They want to be a football coach. They don't want to be a recruiter 24/7, 365. And so they look elsewhere. I think that's going to cause some of these Oregon staffers to spurn Miami, and that's where Jonathan Smith can say, come in. Come in, Tim DeRuyter. I just happen to need a full-time defensive coordinator. Come in, your receiver coach, Brian McClendon, who now is going to be the Ducks interim guy, or Bobby Williams, special teams coach. You don't have to move. You don't have to uproot your family, pack everything in boxes, and fly across the country. Drive to Corvallis. It's an hour away from Eugene. That's if you drive like me. That's if you drive slow. Come to Oregon State, stay in state, and be a part of a team that can aim for a Pac-12 championship. I think that's the message Jonathan Smith is going to say to everybody there at Oregon. He's going to say to a bunch of coaches in the Pac-12, he's going to rebuild this staff. He's going to win in the transfer portal like he always does, and he's going to use this to Oregon State's advantage. I want to hear from you. 541-630-4792. The future of the Ducks, the future of the Beavers. Let me know what you think. 541-630-4792. One last thing this segment. Oregon has a bowl game at the end of the month, and Oregon State has a bowl game in a couple weeks. maybe you're a diehard and you don't want to wait that long. So let me tell you, you don't have to wait that long. We got some college basketball on the radio this week. Saturday, 3:30 pregame, 4 o'clock tip. Beavs are hosting Sacramento State. We'll air it right here. Sunday, same time, 3:30 pregame, 4 o'clock tip. The Ducks are hosting Stanford. We're airing that on our sister station, 99.5 FM, 880 AM, Southern Oregon's home for the Ducks. So Saturday and Sunday, we got college basketball right here. Hope you tune in. Hope you enjoy it. Next ahead, more on Cristobal, more on Oregon. We'll go back to the NFL. We'll dive into the playoff picture in the NFC. And let's talk about what that loss to the Seahawks means for the San Francisco 49ers. Did that doom their playoff chances? I'll tell you what I think next. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW, 96.1, 580, The Game.
Your treasure awaits at Picker's Paradise.
Picker's Paradise has something you sports lovers want. Whether you're looking for sports memorabilia items like autographed sports cards or one-of-a-kind signed jerseys and pictures, Picker's Paradise is your go-to for all things sports. Check out their items on their Facebook page or website at pickersparadisellc.com. If you or your loved one is a fanatic, look no farther than Picker's Paradise on South Pacific Highway heading into Phoenix. Just look for Picker Bill on the big yellow sign.
You may be into punk rock, soft rock, or classic rock, R&B, hip-hop, or house, country, techno, or techno-country. But no matter what kind of music you listen to, here's something else you should hear. Please consider getting vaccinated. Talk to your pharmacist today about Comirnaty, COVID-19 vaccine mRNA. This message brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Being in the Army National Guard is about more than just serving your country. It's about being there for your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army National Guard makes college affordable. Serving part-time lets you attend school full-time while you take advantage of education benefits that can help you graduate debt-free. If a civilian career is your goal, serving part-time allows you to work at a full-time job. The skills, qualities, and contacts you'll develop in the Guard can open doors to a great civilian career. Want to serve but worried about being away from friends and family? Part-time service in the Army National Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving in the Army National Guard lets you have the life you want while you enjoy the many benefits of serving your community and nation. You owe it to yourself to learn more about how the Army National Guard can fit into your life. Visit NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Oregon Army National Guard, aired by the Oregon Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals. But I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
541-630-4792 is my studio line, and it's open to you. Text me, talk to me, tell me what you think about Mario Cristobal leaving Oregon. Who does Oregon hire? Where does Oregon go from here? And how does it change the Pac-12? I've been of the opinion for a week now that Lincoln Riley going to USC is good for the Pac-12, but it's not an instant success in the Pac-12. It's not a situation where you plug him in and all of a sudden he sweeps to 12 wins and a conference championship. I think USC has some things to fix. If you look at their recruiting classes, now I'm not a star chaser. I just told you I don't believe necessarily that you need a bunch of 5-star guys to win titles. It helps, but it's not the be-all, end-all. But if you look at their recruiting classes, my point is USC loads up on skill positions. They'll get a 4-star quarterback and 5-star wide receivers and 4-star corners and 5-star safeties and all these incredible athletes. Who do they sign to line up in the trenches? They don't get elite offensive or defensive linemen. Look at their last few classes. It is bereft of big guys in the trenches. Oregon, they spent their recruiting capital, their time and their energy on getting 4- and 5-star offensive and defensive linemen. Oregon State, they've used their energy in the transfer portal to go out and get high-quality offensive and defensive linemen. Obviously, Utah did it. They just proved what that happened for them. My point is that Lincoln Riley is going to have some issues at USC. That team cannot protect the quarterback, and that team cannot stop the run. It's going to cost him some games in the years ahead and make it a much bumpier road to a Pac-12 championship. So who takes advantage in the Pac-12? If Oregon takes a step down in the short term, which I think happens, long term they'll be fine. Short term, they will take a step down. Who steps in? Does Washington suddenly go from worst to first in the North? How about Oregon State? How about Stanford? I threw out David Shaw's name earlier, and I'm standing by it. Like, if you could have one Hail Mary hire, give them a blank check, tell them to fill it out, and they do so, and then they're the next coach of the Ducks. Who is that hire? Who do you want? If you could hire one name, who is it? Some fans want Chip Kelly. I get it. Reunion. Homecoming. However you want to say it, right? The prodigal son returns home. Bring him back to Eugene, if that's what you want. If you want to go for a flash in the pan, hot young name like Dave Aranda at Baylor, or go get Luke Fickell from Cincinnati, maybe that's what you want. Go for it, right? I want David Shaw. I want a coach that has a proven track record in the Pac-12. I know he can recruit in the Pac-12 because he's done so and won Pac-12 titles thanks to his recruiting. I know he can win in the Pac-12. He's out-coached Mario Cristobal. He's out-coached Chris Peterson and Clay Helton when Clay was at USC and won big-time games against big-time programs. I know that David Shaw can win a Pac-12 title anywhere in the Pac-12. And moreover, I know that David Shaw can do better than he's doing at Stanford. He recruits with his hands tied behind his back and a blindfold over his head. What do I mean by that? Stanford recruits differently than almost any other school in America. Harvard, Yale, Notre Dame, Stanford. I think those are the toughest college football jobs on the planet. Because unlike Oregon or Oregon State or USC, where you are looking at a recruit's game film and you're talking to a recruit's coaches and you're talking to a recruit's family, and those are the factors that go into whether or not a young man gets a scholarship to your university, Stanford has another factor, and it weighs over all the other factors. Can this young man get into Stanford? Because that scholarship won't matter if he doesn't get accepted to the university. You give them a scholarship and they don't get in, torched. It's gone. It's burned. In the NCAA rule book, that scholarship is wasted. So Stanford, unlike everyone else in America, can only offer a scholarship if a player gets accepted to Stanford. That is a marathon process, and it's brutal for Stanford recruiting. Basically, instead of looking at 40-yard dash time, they're looking for 4.0 GPAs. They're looking for the best and brightest. And if you aren't the best and brightest, if you aren't in that rare few that can get accepted to one of the toughest schools in America, you're not going to get a scholarship and you're not going to play for David Shaw. Simple as that. So it's brutal for him. You can't build a championship roster that way without a bunch of breaks. And I think Oregon could come to him and say, you can win a championship here. You can recruit the best players in America, because Mario Cristobal had seemingly done that. You can recruit, at bare minimum, a higher caliber of athlete than you've recruited at Stanford. Louis Taggart, Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich, all of them can say they did that. Come to Oregon. Come work for Phil Knight. Maybe Phil Knight throws in a raise. I think you have to even get David Shaw to consider it, but I don't know if he takes it. And David Shaw becomes the head coach of the Ducks. That's my dream scenario. That's my number one, cross my fingers and hope this happens scenario for the Oregon Ducks. I don't think it happens, but I hope it happens, because I think that's a huge move for David Shaw. I think it would be a great move for Oregon. I think everybody wins in that scenario. 541-630-4792. Let me know what you would do. 541-630-4792. I've been teasing this for too long. I can't leave it on the bone anymore. NFC playoff picture. Let's get this out of the way here. Cardinals are the 1 seed. Packers, Bucks, Cowboys, 2, 3, and 4, the rest of your division leaders. The wild card right now, the Rams are the 5 seed. They would play Dallas at Jerry World. The Washington football team, sadly, if you're a Raider fan, they won on Sunday. They have the 6 seed. They would go to Tampa, a rematch of the wild card last year. And San Francisco, despite that loss to Seattle, is holding on a half game ahead for the 7th seed. They would go to Lambeau in round 1. What do you think about that? If the regular season ended today, those are your playoff matchups in the NFC. Will it stay that way? Who goes in, who goes out? I want to hear from you. I think about the Niners in particular, have them circled. I didn't come away from that loss thinking that's not a playoff team. Like, the Niners aren't perfect. I don't think they'll be a good playoff team if they get into the playoffs. Their passing game can be lackadaisical. I was really surprised that Brandon Ayuk wasn't more involved in the first 3 quarters of that game against the Seahawks. I was really surprised that George Kittle kind of disappeared after the first quarter in that game against the Seahawks. And I was surprised by the Niners' special teams. That 80-yard touchdown I thought was a backbreaker for them. And it was such a basic play. Like, how do you not defend against the protector like that? How do you not have somebody lined up on the edge every punt just to make sure Travis Homer doesn't wheel out down the flank wide open down the field for 80 yards? And how does Brandon Ayuk not even get close to a tackle on that play? Like, that was the ultimate matador play from him. He went up to Homer. If you watch the play, Brandon Ayuk is back to return the punt. He runs up to Travis Homer and then kind of jukes out of the way. Doesn't want to make contact. Doesn't want to make a tackle. That was embarrassing, right? Those things concern me about the Niners. But when you look behind them, it's Philadelphia and the Giants and the Saints. I'm not scared by any of those teams. I'm really not. The Niners are flawed, but they have fewer flaws than the teams behind them in the standings. I think they hold on to that 7th seed. I think Washington holds on to the 6th seed as well. That's the easiest schedule the rest of the way. They only have to play the NFC East. Cowboys and Giants and Eagles the rest of the way for them. That's a pretty easy schedule. So I think the NFC playoff picture, you'll see more movement in the top seeds than you will in the bottom seeds. Wild card spots are fairly solid to me. Rams will be your 5, then WFT, then the Niners. The question for me is, does Green Bay pass Arizona when it's all said and done? Does Dallas pass Tampa Bay when it's all said and done? I think we still wait and see on that. Southern Oregon Sports Talk is presented by Medford BMW. I'll wrap the show next. We'll look at the Jimmy Kimmel Los Angeles Bowl, featuring none other than Jonathan Smith's Oregon State Beavers. Plus, I've reacted to the Seahawks win, the Niners loss, 2 sides to one coin. Now it's time to talk about my silver and black. The Raiders really disappointed me on Sunday. I wish I could say I didn't see that one coming. I wish I could say it surprised me. But I can tell you it disappointed me. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW. 96.1, 580, the game.
Comfort is more than a feeling. It's the pride knowing your heating and cooling system is performing at a high level of confidence. That's why Lamb Air Heating and Air Conditioning is partnered with York International as the only certified York dealer in the Rogue Valley for commercial and residential spaces. York has redefined home comfort with unparalleled efficiency, convenience, and reliability. Maintaining your heating and cooling system is a huge part of preventing costly repairs. Join Lamb Air's Lion's Den preventative maintenance program. This keeps your warranty up to date and ensures your system is ready for the upcoming season. Plus, get discounts for sales and service being part of the pride. Visit online at lamb-air.com. Lamb Air not only installs York systems, they repair and service all makes and models, along with 24-hour emergency response. If it's time for a new system, repairs, or you have a system emergency, Lamb Air and York International are here for you. Call Lamb Air at 541-476-6978 or 541-772-8260. Pride and performance.
Your treasure awaits at Pickers Paradise.
Pickers Paradise has something you sports lovers want. Whether you're looking for sports memorabilia items like autographed sports cards or one-of-a-kind signed jerseys and pictures, Pickers Paradise is your go-to for all things sports. Check out their items on their Facebook page or website at PickersParadiseLLC.com. If you or your loved one is a fanatic, look no farther than Pickers Paradise on South Pacific Highway heading into Phoenix. Just look for Picker Bill on the big yellow sign.
From opening night to Super Bowl 56, don't miss a second of the NFL's biggest season ever. Hi, this is Kurt Warner of Westwood One. Join our crew each week for the best primetime NFL action. Thursday, Sunday, and of course, Monday Night Football. Listen to the NFL's brightest stars on Westwood One, the exclusive radio home for every primetime NFL game. Right here.
Covering football all year long, 96.1, 580 the game.
Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
I wish I could say I was surprised by the Raiders on Sunday, but I was disappointed. Like, I knew they were going to blow it. I knew they were going to find a way to choke that game after the ecstatic high of winning on Thanksgiving. They always do this. They always crash back to earth after a big win in November. I wish I could say I was surprised. I wish I could say they didn't do that, but they did. And it disappoints me. I'm so burned out on that team. You have years and years and years to get over the hump, and they still collapse late in the season. Anyway, I'm the easiest prediction I could possibly give you is that team is toast. They're not going to the playoffs. They're not going to do well the rest of the way. It's the same team we see every December. They always do this. Time to talk about a couple different teams here. Patriots get the nice win on Monday Night Football, shocked the world. I know Buffalo came in, I think, as a team favored in that game and a team that we all looked at as the darlings of the AFC, but they get slapped around, and it just goes to show that situations matter. Mac Jones wins that game despite only throwing 3 times and handing off every other time he was on the field because the team around him is that good. He's got an all-pro offensive line. He's got a stable of running backs and an incredible defense to help fill in the gaps for him. Situation matters, and he landed into one of the best situations ever. So the Patriots are an elite team right now. Consider this. Oregon, the college football program, right now looking listless without a head coach, looks like a bad situation. And there's going to be a lot of controversy about recruiting rankings, players transferring, recruits decommitting, coaches leaving. I don't buy that hype. I don't buy that doom and gloom, sky is falling stuff. Oregon might lose on the recruiting sites. They might struggle on National Signing Day, but they'll be fine on Saturday because Oregon, I think, is the right situation. Great infrastructure, good support with boosters. The AD, Rob Mullins, I think this is his time to shine. Just like the Patriots, without Tom Brady, they'll be fine.